member of the Yemeni American Merchants Association, an organization that was birthed out of the Yemeni bodega strike that took place in Brooklyn Borough Hall on February 2nd, 2017, where over 6,000 Yemeni Americans ascended to Brooklyn Borough Hall after closing 1,000 bodegas in New York City. Today we gather the day before the U.S. Supreme Court ruling, actually the oral arguments that will be taking place to determine what the ruling will be. We decided as a community to come together on a national level, to let the world know of our pain and suffering as Yemeni Americans under the Muslim ban. When we decided to do this, we thought about where should we hold the press conference to the kickoff at 3 p.m. for the National Bodega Strike, the 1-hour bodega strike. And we realized that Brother Nadal, who is actually the owner of this bodega here, is directly across the U.S. Supreme Court. No better place for us to be able to let our voices be heard and our pain to be seen as Yemeni Americans who have family members that are stranded in many parts of the world because of the ban. So today we are here to share of this suffering and to hopefully say to the U.S. Supreme judges that we truly hope that they will rule on the right side of history, to uphold our freedom of religion and expression, and to use the law of the U.S. Constitution to rule that this travel ban, Muslim ban, is unconstitutional because this country was built on the backs of immigrants. And the only people that can call this their home is the Native American Indians. So I pay homage to them for all that they've sacrificed for us. So today, my brothers and sisters, we will have a lineup of speakers, some who are directly affected. We also have allies who will be speaking. The first person up will be the board president of the Yemeni American Merchants Association, Abdul Mubarez.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Abdul Mubarez, and I'm the president of the Yemeni American Merchant Association. As you all know, we started with this organization when we did the first bodega strike on October 2nd, 2017. February 2nd, 2017. We came out opposing the Muslim ban that President Trump issued against 7 Muslim countries. Those 7 Muslim countries that got affected, right now there's 1 country out. We still have 6. And as Yemeni Americans in New York City, we decided today that we come out in front of the Supreme Court of the Bronx to speak out and let the people know, understand that we have so many Yemeni Americans, relatives that are stranded in different places in the world, in Malaysia, in Djibouti, in Egypt, in Jordan. And some of them, they've been there for years, waiting to come and join their family members in America, which they are American citizens, and they're working hard in this great city of New York. They all have bodegas in several communities. But hopefully today, that the Supreme Court tomorrow will hear our case. And like I said, once they hear it, hopefully that they will understand that we should allow the Yemeni Americans and the rest of the people that are stranded to join their family members to America. So I want to thank everyone that came in today and support for us. Today we also have all the Yemeni American merchants around the country are closing their stores in different places in the country from 3 to 4 p.m. to show the world that we are American. We need our family members to join us and to come and join their families in America, just like any other community in the world. Thank you very much for coming.
Next, I'd like to invite up Dr. Hamoud, who is the imam at the Bronx Islamic Center, and Yahya Ubaid will also give a few remarks.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Peace be upon you all. Thank you very much for standing with us to show the suffering of Yemeni community in different parts of the world, especially for those coming to the US. But because this ban, they affected so much, and I hope that the court, USA court, will look for this cause and look for the humanitarian point of view. And these people who are so suffering in Djibouti, in Egypt, in Malaysia, and everywhere, and also affected by the war in Yemen. The war in Yemen is so devastated, killing the innocent people, destroying the houses and everything. And the people who are US American citizens bring their families from that part of the world to join them. They are prevented from this ban. I hope that all those who are sane and the mind look for this cause and make it easy for them. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're here today to share our stories. The Yemeni American community is facing challenges from all sides and angles. When I was a kid, I lived through war. I did not see sunlight for days at a time. I did not go to school for weeks at a time because we had sandbags on our windows. A generation later, here we are facing the same war decades later. According to the United Nations, the worst humanitarian crisis in the world right now is in Yemen. Please help us to end the suffering. We are a nation of immigrants, and we must continue to be a nation of immigrants. God bless America.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ubaid. Now I'd like to call up the Assistant Commissioner from the office of the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, Assistant Commissioner Kavita Karawa Sanchez, to say a few words on behalf of Mayor de Blasio.
Thank you, Dr. Almontaser and the Yemeni American Merchants Association. The work that you're doing to bring your communities together and to lift up your voices is critical in this time. I was with you all at Police Square a few months ago in the very, very bitter cold, and I'm sad to know that we're here months later, but also inspired that you continue to come together in this strong way, that you're fighting, that you're not taking this sitting down. And I know that the road to justice is long, but with communities like yours leading this fight, I know that one day we will win. Again, my name is Kavita Paria Sanchez, and I'm with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. I wanted to share a couple of our thoughts on the travel ban. Since it first came down in that first January of 2017, I think it was a day or the same day after this president was inaugurated, we experienced just a mass devastation of our rights and a very real concrete sense of chaos and injustice at airports around the country as well as abroad. I was at JFK that day working to help get folks through and to stand up and lift our voices. And since that time, the mayor, Mayor de Blasio, has stood with your communities and in many, many different ways, and we will keep standing with you to oppose the travel ban. Just last month, we joined the city of Chicago in filing an amicus brief to challenge this unfair policy at the Supreme Court, and we've filed many different amicus briefs in the litigation to challenge this policy since that began. We expect to hear a decision from the Supreme Court very, very soon. There are oral arguments next week, and we are tracking that litigation, are in support of this policy ending, and have been working tirelessly to not just fight in court, but to lift up your voices and the voices of so many other Muslim communities that are affected by the travel ban across New York City. We estimate that 26,000 New Yorkers are directly impacted by this policy, and we know that the largest percentage of that 26,000 are your communities, are Yemenis, and that's based on recent research through the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs and others in the city. The second and third largest communities are the Iranian and Syrian communities in New York City, and then of course we know that there are several others of the neighboring countries. We've been working tirelessly to blanket the city with good information because we know that understanding how this policy works, what it means for your family, what it means for your current or your future immigration legal status is extremely challenging to navigate. So the city has a free immigration legal services program available. If you have questions about you or your family's immigration legal status, you can call Action NYC. You can call 311 and ask for Action NYC to get connected. We've also been blanketing the city with a new fact sheet just on temporary protected status. We have a few here with us today that lays out the policy, how it's impacting New Yorkers, and what we can all do to fight against this. We also held over 1,000 Know Your Rights forums across the city last year, sharing information not just about the travel ban, but about all of the negative policies in the anti-immigrant agenda that's coming down from Washington. So all of that to say that New York City is here with you, the mayor stands with you, and we are using every tool at our disposal to fight this policy. And I'll go back to where I started, where the road to justice is long, but with your community and other immigrant communities leading this fight, we believe we can win. Thank you.
I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge others from the mayor's office. We also have Orlando Torres, who is actually here from the Commission for Human Rights. Orlando, please wave so we know where you are. Thank you for being here and standing with us. We appreciate the Commission for Human Rights. We also have from Scott Stringer's office, we have Enterasan Ortiz, who's a Bronx Borough Liaison. Thank you so much for being here. Please give our regards to the controller. We're sending you. In addition to having city agencies as well as other elected officials with us, we also have, I don't know if he's here, the Deputy Chief of Staff. Are here. Wonderful. Okay. We also have with us the Deputy Chief of Staff for the Bronx Borough President, Basal Omar, who's actually going to give a few remarks on behalf of the Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of the Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz, we want to thank the Yemeni American Merchants Association for putting this day together, putting this event together. And we want to reaffirm our support for our brothers and sisters in the Yemeni American community here in the Bronx and throughout the city of New York to denounce this draconian travel ban that Donald Trump has put together, and to urge the Supreme Court to reaffirm our belief in the American ideal that this country is a country for immigrants of immigrants, that this country is a beacon of hope. This travel ban seeks to divide us, it seeks to foster fear-mongering in our communities, and we have to say no to that. We want to thank all the different ethnicities and religions that have come together to denounce this travel ban. Again, on behalf of the Bronx Borough President, we stand behind you here in the Yemeni American community, and we urge the Supreme Court to reaffirm our belief in the American values. Discrimination against one community is discrimination against all communities. If this happens to one community, it will happen to
Now I'd like to call up Reverend Chloe Breyer from the Interfaith Center of New York. We are accompanied by rabbis and ministers, and we're so delighted to have them here. Reverend Reverend Kelly Breyer.
I'm here today with all of you, thanking so much the work of the many American Merchant Society for all you've done for our democracy here in New York City, and also speaking on behalf of the Interfaith Center of New York. Just want to say it's not fair that you, our neighbors, because of national origin and religion, don't have the same rights as other U.S. citizens who are able to bring all their family members over here. That's not right, and that's not fair. We are a nation that has been struggling for a more perfect union, and you and all of us here today are part of that struggle. It began with religious freedom for Quakers, followed by Catholics, followed by Jews, Native Americans, Japanese Americans, and African Americans. You and me here today are part of a historic struggle, and that is the struggle for the more perfect union. Couldn't be in better company. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Chloe Breyer. Now I'd like to actually call back some more members of the Yemeni American community who will actually share some of their family experiences of the suffering. I'd like to call up, first and foremost, the brother who actually allowed us to stand out here, and that is Adnan Achevi, who is going to actually say a few words. This is his store. At 3 o'clock, you're going to see him shutting down his store, among all others across the city and across the country. So, Brother Adnan.
We're doing this to support our families, our friends, Islamic people in the world, friends out here. Always America is great. That plus America, we only have one nation, and we need it to be wins for this kind of countries. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to actually invite up another brother who's going to also share his experience. It's Brother Zaid al-Qureshi.
Hello, good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum, my Yemen brothers. I would like to share my story. I'm one of these people who got stuck in Jerusalem. Luckily for me, I got out, got my family, united them, and I just want these families to bring their families over, to unite. I think we're in the greatest country in the world, United States of America, and I feel like we have a chance to really help these people out. They do need our help. Thank you.
I'd like to invite up Rabbi Elliman, who's actually going to say a few words. From JFRIG, Jews for Racial and Economic Justice.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Mary Elman. This is such an important issue. 80 years ago, Jews like me were living under the threat of death and extermination in Germany and Europe. And this country didn't let us come in. This country refused to admit people were in danger. This same problem is what is facing the Yemeni community right now. Just yesterday, the Times reported a Saudi bomb that killed over 20 people at a wedding, women and children. This is a reality that people are living in, and they're fleeing it, as any of us, any sensible person would try to do. And the fact that our country has put a restriction on admission of these people is unconscionable. So I stand here as a Jew, as a human being, as a New Yorker, as a sister to my Yemeni brothers and sisters, saying we want to stop this, we insist that the Supreme Court not uphold this ban, and that we restore ourselves to being an open-armed country, accepting the vitality and the brilliance and the different diversity of the urban communities that want to come here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite up now Reverend Joel Gibson, the director of the Micah Institute, who's also here in solidarity with us. The Micah Institute is comprised of many faith traditions of people of all walks of life across the city. We're so honored that he is here representing such a robust institute.
As the director of the MICA Institute, I stand here with other representatives from MICA to say that we come together in education and advocacy and action to support social justice, economic equity, and human equality. I stand here before you with the members of MICA to proclaim solidarity with the Yemeni community, not only today but at all times. And we say together, no Muslim ban ever. We proclaim this from the streets of New York to the steps of the Supreme Court. No ban, not now, not ever. It's hard to believe that we're waiting here today for the highest court in this land to determine whether the president of this country, through executive order, can ban a large segment of the population of this country and citizens of the larger world from coming to this country simply because of the way that they worship God. 3 times the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has issued an executive order which at its core is centered on Islamophobia. His own words in speech and in Twitter betray his true intentions. What he has said and what he has written clearly are anti-immigration and anti-Muslim policies, and they are indefensible. President Trump's actions and his words have done nothing to make this country safer. They, in fact, have fostered hatred and a climate that has set people against one another. And not only that, they allow people to feel the freedom to institute hate acts of violence and attacks on others. The Supreme Court must hear that the people of this country, the good people of this country, say that these bans are immoral, that they are motivated by animus towards the Muslim people, and that we will not hold this animus in our hearts. We cannot allow it with our laws. Both the Ninth and the Fourth Circuit courts have concluded that these Muslim bans are illegal for various reasons. As persons of faith, the MICA Institute is not willing or able to stand by as one part of God's family is pitted against another. It is immoral and calls for righteous and vigorous action. So we are here today to stand with our Yemeni brothers and sisters to make sure that they understand and you understand and the world understands that the faith community is here with them. I would like to close with these 2 proverbs that have been reported to me as originating from the Yemeni people. And they are these. Work like an ant and you will eat sugar. Work like an ant and you will eat sugar. The people who run and own these bodegas and shops around the city understand the value of that proverb. They work hard. They are the backbone of America. And not only do they eat sugar when they succeed, so do we. And the last proverb is, look to your neighbor who is near, rather than your brother who is distant. The neighbor near, our Yemeni neighbor, our Muslim neighbors, are the people that we need to be paying attention to and stop worrying about making this country a country for only those who look like us. Because I do not know what us look like unless us looks like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Gibson. Now I'd like to call up a dear, amazing friend who I just met recently but have admired from afar, who's actually doing incredible work. He is the president of the Black Lives Matter Greater New York, my brother, Pav Newsom.
W.K. Newsom, N-E-W-S-O-M as in Mary, E. I'm the president of Black Lives Matter Greater New York. I really appreciate what the man of the cloth just said, and that is talk about honoring and loving thy neighbor. Many of these people who push for this Muslim ban claim to be Christians. And if you are a Christian, your Bible tells you to love your neighbor. And it doesn't say that that neighbor has to look like you, has to speak the same language as you, or has to be from the same country as you. I stand here with my Yemenis brothers and sisters. Why? Because blacks and Yemenis people here in New York City inhabit the same neighborhoods. They own many of the stores we shop at. We congregate at these stores. Their struggle is, in fact, our struggle because we believe in community. It is very unfortunate that they are encountered what black people have encountered here on American soil for 400 years. And what does that look like? White supremacists using the law and the government to protect their racist views. And we stand here to say no more. No more. No more. No more. No more. No more. We urge the United States Supreme Court to deliver justice to the people and not justice to a racist government.
Thank you, Brother Newsom. That was incredible, and I hope everybody got that message loud and clear of how important it is for us to be united around these issues that impact all of our communities. I want to do a time check. It is 2:56. We have our last speaker who's going to be wrapping it up, and then at 3 o'clock on the dot, Brother Nadal is going to close his store down. He's going to shut it down for the bodega strike, the national bodega strike, across over 15 cities in the United States. Before I hand it over to my brother Zaid, I want to acknowledge a few other faith partners that are here. Jonathan Soto, the Vice President of Strategic Planning at Union Theological Seminary. Please wave, Jonathan. We also have my dear brother and friend, Rob Stevens, Minister of Congregational Life Middle. Holding picture. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you so much, Rob, for being here. My dear sister, Sunita Vashinwath from Sadhana. Please wave. I don't know if people can see her. With us. And then we also have Bishop Raymond Blanchett. I don't know if he's here somewhere. Okay. All right, so without further ado, our very last speaker is Zaid Nagi, who is the Vice President of the Yemeni American Merchants Association.
For many decades, this neglected community, my community, who can be found at the bottom step of the American dream, been working very hard in places when no one can dare to work, at times where many people would not be paid enough money to do so, and when the pain become unbearable, my community way of trying the only way in hope of others, in hope that others, someone somewhere can hear and alleviate this pain. When people are sleeping in roofs in Djibouti because they're trying to save the air-conditioned money because they've been stuck there for a couple years, when people lifelong earnings are wasted on airline tickets between 3, 4, 5 countries, since we don't have a U.S. embassy in Yemen. When 2,000 Yemenis who won the lotto, and when they went and tried to cash it, they were told, no, the rules have changed. I'm speaking about the diversity visa winners, 2017, 2018. When my mom is in Jordan for more than 2 years, away from her home, away from her kids, when the pain is this high, we only have one way to show. We don't have the organizations. Politicians don't even know we exist. The only way we could show is to do the only thing we do, and that is to stop working, and that's what we are doing.
Shut it down.
All right.
Shut it down. 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 Shut it down.
All right, we're going to do a countdown for the shutdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, come out. The people that are watching and wondering what's going on, please get to know your Yemeni American neighbors. Talk to them. If you want to leave a message of solidarity on a piece of paper, a post-it, feel free to do so. We are going to be here for the next hour on behalf of Yemeni Americans who are shutting their bodegas down for 1 hour. Thank you.
Shamsun Al-Ahabi is one of thousands of Yemeni American small business owners in New York City, ingrained in the fabric of everyday life. But today, for 1 hour, the owner of the 80th Street Deli in Bay Ridge closed his store just like the other bodega owners and grocery store owners across Brooklyn and across the United States. They are striking ahead of tomorrow's oral arguments before the Supreme Court that will decide the legality of the Trump administration's executive order banning the migration of citizens from several Muslim-majority countries, including Yemen.
America does not close its doors to those who come here seeking freedom, particularly in a place like Yemen, which is a war-torn country.
Today's event was organized by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams and featured Councilman Justin Brennan. It echoes a similar event that happened when the travel ban first went into effect.
We're all immigrants. We all came from the same place. You know where that place is? Somewhere else. So it's very important and in solidarity that we come out here today to say to the community that we're all standing together.
For Al-Ahabi, the ban has had real consequences. He hasn't been able to see his mother for years. Her visa process was disrupted by the ban.
I tried to bring her there, and I did everything for her, but I don't know what can I do now.
For 1 hour this afternoon, dozens of businesses in Hamtramck did something they hope will be felt all the way in Washington.
From 3 to 4 p.m., they shut down in protest ahead of a Supreme Court hearing on President Trump's travel ban. Steve Garagiola is live there tonight. And Steve, this is huge in that community.
Well, yeah, it really is. And not just this community. There are cities all across the country that saw similar actions this afternoon. The stores are open again now, but it was a powerful statement early this afternoon at 3 o'clock because tomorrow could bring a landmark decision with regard to immigration in America. Yemeni American merchants here in Hamtramck joining with others around the country in closing their stores for 1 hour this afternoon.
In New York City, we have 115 in Hamtramck. They are shutting down this moment, and we have every Yemeni American in America. They are shutting down. They are supporting the movement.
They say this is not so much a protest as it is a way to make a statement about President Trump's travel ban.
We want to travel back home and feel like we are safe. We can go back and forth anytime we want.
Tomorrow, the United States Supreme Court will hear arguments on the president's third version of the travel ban that affects primarily Muslim countries. Recently, 2 federal appeals courts ruled the restrictions unconstitutional. These citizens say for them this is less about the Constitution than it is about family.
So we need our family. We need to be treated equally because otherwise America will not be great again.
We are American too. We deserve to bring our families, our relatives to America to live with us.
So these stores are back open for business, but they feel like they made a very important statement this afternoon. So what can the court do tomorrow? Really one of 3 things. They can kick the legal can down the road and send it back to the lower courts to decide this and work it out. Or they could decide once and for all if the ban is legal and constitutional and either knock it down or make it a permanent part of law in America. Reporting live in Hamtramck, I'm Steve Garagiola, Local 4.